December arrives, and with it, a sense of anticipation sweeps across Europe. The final month of the year is here, and as the calendar page turns, cities and towns from Lisbon to Warsaw prepare for the unique blend of weather and atmosphere that only December can bring. The days are short, the air is crisp, and festive lights begin to twinkle in windows and along city streets, hinting at the celebrations to come. But Europe isn't plunging straight into deep winter. Instead, the continent is experiencing a gentle transition, with many regions still holding on to the last whispers of autumn. Parks remain green, and people stroll through city centers in light jackets, savoring the milder air before the true cold sets in. Instead, much of the continent is starting the month with mild, damp weather rather than snow and ice. Rainfall is frequent, and the sound of droplets tapping on cobblestones is a familiar December melody in many Western cities. The skies are often overcast, casting a silvery light over bustling markets and quiet neighborhoods alike. The story is one of clashing air masses. A powerful Atlantic low is pulling warm, moist air into the west, setting the stage for unsettled conditions. This system, born over the restless ocean, sweeps across the British Isles and into mainland Europe, bringing with it gusty winds and persistent showers. The influence of the Atlantic is unmistakable, shaping the weather patterns and keeping temperatures higher than one might expect for early December. Meanwhile, a stubborn high-pressure system holds its ground over Eastern Europe, trapping cold air beneath clear, frosty skies. In these regions, the nights are longer and colder, and the landscape is often dusted with frost or even an early snowfall. The contrast between east and west is striking, as if the continent is divided by an invisible line, drawn by the weather itself. This creates a dramatic east-west divide, with some regions reaching for umbrellas instead of heavy coats. In the west, people dash through rain showers, while in the east, residents bundle up against the biting cold. The wardrobe choices across Europe are as varied as the weather itself, reflecting the continent's diverse climate zones. The UK and Ireland in particular are feeling the Atlantic's influence with milder temperatures and rain. Streets in London and Dublin glisten under frequent showers, and the sound of raindrops is a constant companion. Pubs and cafes offer a warm refuge from the damp, as locals and visitors alike seek shelter and comfort. Meanwhile, parts of Eastern Europe are already getting a taste of winter's chill. In cities like Moscow, Warsaw, and Kiev, snowflakes drift through the air, and the streets are lined with people wrapped in scarves and heavy coats. The arrival of winter is unmistakable here, with icy winds and frosted windows signaling the season's true beginning. As these systems battle, expect rapid changes and regional contrasts. Winter's arrival will be anything but uniform. One day may bring rain and mild breezes, the next a sudden drop in temperature or a dusting of snow. The weather is in constant motion and forecasts can shift quickly, keeping everyone on their toes. The first week of December promises shifting skies and plenty of surprises across Europe. From the Atlantic's restless influence in the west to the icy grip of high pressure in the east, the continent is set for a dynamic start to winter. Whether you're reaching for an umbrella or a woolen hat, one thing is certain: December in Europe is a season of contrasts, and the weather's overture is just beginning. Europe's weather this week is being shaped by a classic meteorological standoff, a tug-of-war that's as old as the continent itself. The atmosphere above us is a battleground, with powerful forces pushing and pulling, dictating whether we see sunshine, rain, or even snow. Understanding these pressure systems is key to making sense of the dramatic changes we experience from one region to another. On one side, we have the relentless Atlantic low-pressure system, swirling with energy and moisture. On the other, a stubborn continental high-pressure zone stretching across much of mainland Europe, determined to keep things calm and settled. The Atlantic low, spinning between Iceland and the UK, acts like a giant atmospheric vacuum cleaner. It draws in moist, mild air from the ocean, fueling bands of cloud and unleashing wind and rain on the western fringes of Europe. This is why places like Ireland and the UK often find themselves at the mercy of relentless downpours and gusty winds, especially at this time of year. In stark contrast, a vast high-pressure system stretches from Iberia in the southwest all the way to Russia in the northeast. Here, the air is sinking, which suppresses cloud formation and keeps the weather dry, settled, and often much cooler. This high acts like a protective shield, fending off the Atlantic storms and bringing long spells of calm to Central and Eastern Europe. The real drama unfolds where these two giants meet. Along the boundary between the moist Atlantic air and the dry continental air, weather fronts form, zones of intense contrast that can spark heavy rain, sudden temperature changes, and even storms. This is where meteorologists focus their attention, as these boundaries are hotspots for the most dynamic and sometimes hazardous weather. Western Europe, especially Ireland, the UK, and up into Scandinavia, is currently under the low's wet, windy spell. Streets glisten with rain, umbrellas turn inside out, and coastal areas brace for powerful gusts. For many, it's a familiar pattern, mild but unsettled, with the Atlantic's influence never far away. Meanwhile, Central and Eastern Europe remain quieter and cooler under the high's influence. Mornings can be frosty, with clear skies and crisp air. In some places, snow lingers on the ground, undisturbed by wind or rain, creating a peaceful winter scene that feels worlds apart from the stormy west. This ongoing tug-of-war between pressure systems explains why some cities are experiencing unseasonably warm, wet conditions, while others are locked in a pattern of cool, dry weather. It's a vivid reminder of how interconnected, yet varied, Europe's climate can be, sometimes even within a single country. As these pressure systems shift and evolve, so too will the weather across the continent. Meteorologists keep a close eye on the latest data, tracking every movement and anticipating how the balance of power might tip in the days ahead. For those planning travel or outdoor activities, staying updated is more important than ever. Ultimately, the ongoing battle between Atlantic lows and continental highs is the engine driving Europe's early December weather. It's a fascinating dance of air masses, shaping everything from daily commutes to holiday plans, and reminding us just how dynamic and unpredictable our atmosphere can be. Across Europe, a dramatic weather story is unfolding, driven by the ongoing clash of powerful pressure systems. These atmospheric giants are shaping the continent's weather in strikingly different ways, creating a patchwork of conditions that are anything but ordinary for this time of year. The result? Europe is now split into distinct warm and cold zones, with a sharp divide running across the continent. This boundary is easy to spot on temperature maps, where deep blues and fiery reds sit side by side, highlighting just how unusual this setup is for early winter. A broad corridor of mild, almost spring-like air is stretching all the way from the Balkans through Ukraine and into western Russia. This is thanks to persistent southerly winds, which are being funneled along the eastern edge of a dominant Atlantic low-pressure system. These winds are not only keeping temperatures elevated, but also pushing the boundary between warm and cold air, masses further north and east than usual. In cities like Kyiv and Bucharest, residents are experiencing temperatures that are several degrees above the seasonal average. It's not uncommon to see people out and about in lighter clothing, a rare sight for December. Even Dublin, usually bracing for winter's chill, is enjoying conditions that feel more like a mild October afternoon than the depths of winter. Over in the UK and Ireland, the story is similar. Mild air dominates, keeping frosts at bay. Instead of icy mornings, people are waking up to damp, drizzly conditions and lush green landscapes. The persistent cloud cover and rain are a reminder that while it's warm, it's far from settled. But not everyone is basking in this unseasonable warmth. In Spain and Portugal, high pressure has taken hold, leading to clear skies overnight. This allows temperatures to drop sharply, so residents are waking up to frosty mornings and crisp, chilly air. In rural areas, fields are dusted with frost, and people are bundling up as they head out to start their day. Scandinavia and Iceland, meanwhile, are firmly in winter's grip. Here, snow has blanketed the landscape, and temperatures are well below freezing. In cities like Oslo and Reykjavik, people are wrapped up in heavy coats, and the streets are lined with fresh snow, signaling a much more traditional start to the season. This sharp contrast between regions is a vivid illustration of the power and complexity of the current atmospheric setup. The boundary between warm and cold air is acting almost like a weather battleground, with each side vying for dominance. So, while the west and east of Europe remain mild, wet, and unsettled, the Iberian Peninsula and the far north are experiencing cooler, drier, and more stable conditions. It's a tale of two continents, all within the same landmass. As these pressure systems continue to shift and evolve, so too will the temperature anomalies. The boundaries between warm and cold may move, bringing new surprises to different regions in the days ahead. For now, Europe stands divided, one continent, but two very different thermal realities, each shaped by the ever-changing dance of the atmosphere. Northern Europe is bracing for classic late autumn weather, driven by a deep Atlantic low. Strong winds and heavy rain will batter Atlantic coasts, especially Scotland, with travel disruptions likely. Rough seas and large waves will impact western and northern shorelines. As the system's fronts move east, Scandinavia will see rain turn to snow, especially in the mountains and further north. This marks a true start to winter for the Nordic countries. The system will leave the west drenched and the north snowier before moving on. It's a potent reminder of the Atlantic's power as winter approaches, and as one system departs, another lines up in the Atlantic, ready to take its place. While the north faces gales, the south is threatened by a slow-moving Mediterranean cutoff low. This system, fueled by cold air aloft and warm sea waters, is primed for severe thunderstorms and torrential rain. Greece, southern Balkans, Turkey and Cyprus are on high alert for flash floods and mudslides as heavy rain lingers. Even as the system drifts east, its legacy will be days of downpours and mountain snow in the Black Sea region. It's a stark reminder: winter's dangers aren't just about snow. Flooding can be just as severe. As the Atlantic low weakens, a brief cold snap will sweep into Western and Central Europe this weekend. Colder air from Greenland and Iceland will bring a short-lived chill, with snow possible in the Alps, Pyrenees, and Scandinavia. Most lowland areas will just feel a crisp, chilly air. No major snow expected for cities like Paris or Berlin. This cold spell will be fleeting, quickly replaced by the next Atlantic system. It's a quick reminder that winter is here, but not ready to settle in just yet. The dynamic early winter pattern continues, with rapid shifts between mild and cold. The cold snap won't last. Another Atlantic low is already forming, set to bring back mild, wet, and windy weather. Western and northern Europe will see renewed rain and above-average temperatures as the Atlantic flow resumes. Hopes for widespread snow will be dashed, except in Scandinavia and the high mountains. Major cities like London, Paris, and Berlin will stay too mild for snow. The pattern of brief chills followed by Atlantic mildness will define early December. The Russian high will keep the east drier, maintaining the continent's weather divide. For most, winter's start will feel more like a soggy extension of autumn. The first week of December will be wettest in the west and south. Iceland, western Norway, Ireland, the UK, and northern Spain will see heavy rain from Atlantic systems. The Mediterranean, from the Balearics to Greece and Turkey, faces more rain and flood risk from the cutoff low. Central and Eastern Europe will be much drier, shielded by high pressure. Snow will be heaviest in the Nordic countries and mountain ranges like the Alps and Pyrenees. Most lowland areas will see rain, not snow. The ski resorts will benefit, but for most, it's a rainy start to December. The precipitation map tells the story of a continent divided by weather. To sum up, Europe's December opens with a split personality: mild and wet in the west, drier and colder in the east and north. Atlantic systems will keep rain and wind coming for Ireland, the UK, and coastal France and Norway. The Mediterranean faces flood risks, especially in Greece and Turkey. Central and Eastern Europe will be quieter and closer to seasonal norms. Snow lovers should head to the mountains or Scandinavia. Most cities will see rain, not snow. Early December is a showcase of Europe's dynamic weather, with powerful forces ensuring constant change. Keep your rain gear handy, watch for local flooding, and expect surprises as winter's story unfolds. Europe's weather is never dull as the season turns.